to stop the ball with spin, you have to have the right golf ball. If you don't have the right golf ball, you can't create the underspin to that ball to make it get on the green and to stop. So the first thing you have to do is you have to look at the golf ball. We're going to get to that with Mike Gibson of Titleist. So I'll get back to that later in the show. You want to hang around and watch a little bit of that, all right? But now what we're going to do is we're going to talk about proper technique with spinning this ball. And one of the things that so many of you were kind of confused by is that you're kind of told you have to hit down on the ball. And I just want to focus on a couple of different things when we hit these shots. You've been told to hit down on the ball. So you're sitting here and you're sitting there taking this club and you're driving this down. I got to get rid of this card. You're just driving that club down into this ground, and what ends up happening is that when you drive the club down into the ground, you think that that's going to create some spin. The other thing that you're trying to do is you're thinking, well, I've got a wedge in my hand, I've got to make this thing go up into the air. So you start lifting it up into the air. What we want to remember while we're hitting these shots is I'm taking the ball and I'm hitting it in that direction. And as we hit it in that direction, we have to have the club approaching the ball properly, and we're going to get into understanding how to take the club head and have it approach the ball properly. And then what we want to do is we want to control the face. So many of you don't have control over the face as you're coming into this shot. So what you're doing is you're coming in and you're taking the club and you're flipping your hands like this and you're rotating the hands over like that, and what happens is that when the ball leaves the club, it leaves with almost an overspin. It's not an overspin, but it's almost an overspin, and when it lands on the green, it continues to roll. What we want to do is we want to set this club face in what I call a 12-15 position, which is 12 o'clock is when the toe is directly above the heel right there. I want to take the club and just have it slightly open so the toe is just trailing a little bit, and as that happens, what you're going to get is you're going to start to get to use the bounce of the club, which is going to turn out to be a very important thing for you, because as we let this club come into this ball along the ground and we take the club and utilize the bounce, now all of a sudden the face of the club is going to stay square through that hit or slightly open, but it's not going to be moving a lot, and that's going to help with creating some spin. All right, Brett, you ready to throw a little 2-minute drill at him? So I'm going to get all my stuff here. I've got this, and I've got this. So let me put this over here. First thing that we want to do is we want to make sure that when we come into this shot, we don't have the shaft of the club leaning backwards. We want the shaft to be leaning forward. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this little floaty, you create a triangle like this, you put this down like that, and what I want you to imagine is when you're coming into this hit, you're making sure that the shaft is kind of matched up that way. I don't want to come in and hit this club head underneath here and not have any of the shaft contact that floaty. So I want the club to be coming in like this, and as I do that, I'm going to have the shaft leaning, which is going to take that loft, and it's going to create just a little bit of spin on it by having just a little bit less loft on it. So that's one image that we've got. So we've got that in there like that, and this club is leaning. Now what I don't want you to do is I don't want you to let the club come down into the ground like that. So I want you to do a one-hand drill. And what you're going to do with this one-hand drill is you're just going to hit this with your trail hand. That's going to prevent you from taking the club and firing the club down like this. This is not how you create a spin. The way you create a spin is letting the club move along the ground like that, and as it moves along the ground, it's shallow, and that allows you to let the club kind of glide underneath the ball like that and create a very sharp rotation with that. Now finally here with just 40 seconds left and no timeout, so we've got to make sure we get a touchdown here. What I want you to do is I want you to take, we built this thing a couple months ago, and what I want you to have is I want you to have the image that you're going to take this ball and you're going to hit it so that it goes underneath this bar. It won't go underneath the bar because you're going to have it a good club head away from what you're doing. But what I want you to do is I want you to have the image that you're letting this club kind of get underneath that bar. It's not going to go under the bar. It will go up and over the bar. But by doing that, you will get away from lifting that club up into the air. Am I out of time here? Almost. So you'll get away from lifting that club up into the air there, and you'll create that sharp angle of rotation with the golf ball by rotating that body through there and making sure that that club stays down and low, and that's going to get that ball to spin underneath that. When it lands on the green, it's going to stop with a little spin. All right, we got to take a little break here. We're going to, when we come back from the break, we're going to see a little bit from Mike Gibson talking about that ball. That's going to be a little ways down the road, but right when we come